time had passed. The sanctuary Mira had built deep beneath the earth now stood quiet, almost forgotten. But above, the world watched. In the grey hush of early morning, two figures moved through the forest, one cloaked in black, the other a towering shadow of fur and power. The Alpha walked beside her, no longer a pup, no longer hiding. He was magnificent. His coat shimmered with streaks of silver and obsidian, each step silent, but full of weight. Eyes like burning stars, alert to everything. Muscles coiled beneath his fur, sculpted from months of meticulous training. Mira walked beside him, gauntlets softly glowing, reading the world around her. Suddenly, a pulse. Her glove shimmered. She looked down, then forward. "This should be interesting," she said calmly. The encounter. Ahead, the trees parted, and there they stood, a hunting pack of Lycans. 10 strong snarling beasts, blood still wet on their fur from some recent slaughter. They stepped into the clearing, eyes focused, growls rising. But then they saw him, the Alpha. Not a sound, no growl, no challenge. Instead, they stopped, one by one. They bowed, heads low, tails tucked. They recognized him, not just as one of their own, but as something greater. Their king. Mira smiled. "You did that," she said, watching as her glove stayed silent. "Without a signal, without suppression." They bent the knee, not to me, to you. The Alpha looked down at the pack, his presence commanding, not cruel, but absolute. He turned his head, meeting Mira's eyes. She stepped closer. "It's time to reclaim what was yours." The journey. They moved through ash-covered hills, through shattered towns, swallowed by wild growth and haunted memory, through lands soaked in blood and ruled by silence. Wherever they walked, Lycans parted, whole packs scattered, clearing paths instinctively. Some fled into the trees, others knelt in reverence. All of them felt it. To challenge this Alpha was death. Shadow steps. They travelled by foot for days until nightfall. Then Mira raised a glove, twisting dials and tapping patterns of impossible complexity. The shadows opened. She and the Alpha stepped between moments, between places, ripping across the continent like thoughts in a dream. From forests to mountains, from ruins to frozen plains, until finally, the cathedral. They stood before it, the blackened cathedral of He Who Remains. Its spires clawed into the sky like the fingers of a dying god. Stained glass windows flickered with unnatural red light. A stillness lay over the land, a silence heavy with watching eyes. Mira looked up, her expression unreadable. The Alpha stood beside her, calm, ready. "This is it," Mira whispered. "You're not just here to reclaim a throne. You're here to end a legacy of suffering." The doors loomed ahead, ancient and sealed. Together they stepped forward, far across the lands, beyond the forests, past the spires of decay, and deeper still into the corrupted soul of the earth. He Who Remained stirred. For the first time in an age, he stood. The air warped around him, distorted, cracked. Energy bled from his body like smoke from a dying star. Death clung to him. Time feared him. He did not pace. He did not speak. He simply waited. He had felt the presence long before the doors opened. A pulse, an echo of something long buried. The Alpha. The doors opened. With a thunderous creak, The cathedral doors were pulled apart by a force not seen, as if the building itself surrendered to what approached. He entered, the Alpha, massive, regal. His mere existence vibrated power. Every step he took made the stone tremble with ancient recognition. And beside him, Mira, small in stature, but radiating something far more terrifying than size could measure. Knowledge, control, conviction. She walked beside a king, but it was clear she was no servant. Her eyes scanned the throne hall, noting every movement, every flicker of tension. She stopped, folded her arms, and faced the one they had come for. He who remains. He did not flinch. He did not speak. His gaze remained locked on the Alphas, a stare that shook the walls. Time stood still. The wind howled outside. Dust hung in the air, suspended. The Alpha and the remnant, the new and the ancient. Mira spoke. Her voice was calm, measured, but it cut through the silence like a sword through silk. I don't know if you understand my words. Her tone sharp. But I know you understand my meaning. She stepped forward. This is the Alpha, her voice echoed. The descendant of Dimitri, the Alpha Prime, who was cheated of the throne. You stand here as a result of that betrayal. The remnant didn't blink. Mira's eyes darkened. I know who among you tried to kill him, and if I witness foul play today... She raised her gauntlet, the lights on it flickering like dying stars. I will end every last one of you. She was small, but her shadow fell long and cold across the chamber. Even the Lycans hidden in the cathedral's corners stepped back. Only he who remained stood unaffected, unmoved. Stillness. The Alpha took another step. He who remains descended from his throne, his body massive, his face unreadable, his form cloaked in vengeance and old God's wrath. They came to a stop, mere meters apart, their eyes still locked. Not a growl, not a breath, only the crackling hum of fate building in the silence. The challenge was accepted, and the world itself seemed to hold its breath. The air was heavy with silence. Mira moved first, stepping back to the very edge of the chamber. The remaining Lycans, sensing what was to come, followed her lead, forming a wide circle around the two combatants. In the center, the Alpha, and he who remains. Two titans, two legacies, one fate. Let it be finished, Mira cried out, her voice echoing through the cathedral like thunder. And with that, the Alpha moved, a blur of primal motion, faster than the eye could follow. He struck, and again, and again. Power surged through his claws. He was strength. He was vengeance. Every strike carried the pain of generations. But he who remains did not fall. The blows staggered him, yes, but they did not slow him, did not wound him. He absorbed them like a mountain takes wind. Mira's eyes narrowed. She analyzed everything, looking for any trace of foul play. There was none. This was raw, unfiltered power, ancient, sanctioned by something beyond nature. Then, he who remains roared, a sound that cracked the stained glass and shattered bones in the rafters above, and he began to move, fast, heavy, unstoppable. His fists slammed forward, blow after blow, each like a comet crashing to earth. The Alpha dodged, blocked, moved like a storm wind around his opponent, but the strikes did not stop. There was no rhythm, no limit, just relentless fury. Then it came, a single blow, a direct hit. The Alpha was hurled backward, crashing against the stone. Blood spattered the floor. His breaths came in rasps. He tried to rise, one arm shaking beneath him, but another blow came, and another. His claws trembled. The Alpha was losing. He who remained stood unscathed, not even breathing heavily. There was no malice in him, only duty, a monstrous calm. He raised his arm for the final blow. Mira's cry. No! Mira screamed, rushing forward, falling to her knees. Please, don't kill him. He's all I have. Tears streamed down her face, cutting lines of salt across her pale skin. The gauntlet on her hand pulsed, but she did not raise it. She knew this wasn't her fight. It never was. She bowed her head. Please, he saved me. Then, stillness. He who remains paused, arm raised, eyes on the Alpha, unflinching. Then he turned his head. He felt it. Not power, not rage, but divinity. A sensation not felt since the fall of the old gods. A ripple in reality. Behind him, a golden light erupted into the cathedral, like a sunrise from another world. A portal, not of magic, but of godhood. Time itself seemed to falter. Even he who remains took a step back. Mira looked up. Her tears stopped. What is this? The figure said nothing, but everything was about to change. The golden light split reality itself, but no man stepped through. Instead, shimmering and solid as if real, a projection formed. It was Simon Winter, the one who had once reshaped realities, now standing tall in a simple hoodie and a chrome mask that shimmered with shifting constellations. At his side stood two figures, also projections. One, proud and primal, Dimitri, the Alpha, prime of legend, his eyes burning with the wisdom and rage of 1,000 generations. The second, powerful and noble, the Alpha of Winter, the loyal companion Simon had raised in his own fractured reality. Mira stood frozen, her mouth slightly open. Simon's projection turned to her, voice clear but heavy with distance. Mira, I cannot step into your world. It is forbidden. I made a pact with reality itself. Should I cross the veil, I would risk destroying what you have fought so hard to save. He turned his gaze to the injured Alpha, her Alpha, lying bloodied on the cold floor before he who remains. This is not your fight alone, Simon continued. He who remains cannot be defeated by any but the true heir of the Alpha Prime. Mira's hands trembled slightly. But he's alone, she whispered. Simon shook his head. No, not anymore. The projections of Dimitri and Winter's Alpha moved forward, silent, regal, unyielding. They stood beside Mira's Alpha, forming a triangle of ancient power. In that moment, something ancient stirred. The blood of kings, the memories of fallen packs, the spirit of the true Alpha, buried but never broken, awoke. Mira's Alpha struggled to his feet, but when he rose, it was different. The wounds still marked his body, but they no longer defined him. Around him shimmered the power of his ancestors, the strength of a true pack, and the destiny of the Alpha Prime. He who remains let out a roar that shook the cathedral, the death cry of a god refusing to die. He lunged with devastating speed, but it was already too late. Mira's alpha moved, faster than light, faster than thought. One bite, one pure, unbreakable, righteous strike. And he who remains collapsed in a heap of dust and broken vengeance. The cathedral fell into silence. Mira clutched her chest. She could feel it, deep inside. The curse had been broken. His voice softer now. He was never alone, Mira. Neither were you. And with that, the projections of Simon, Dimitri, and the Winter Alpha faded into the ether, leaving only the living, the free, and the future. Outside the broken cathedral, the cold wind carried away the last ashes of he who remains. The Alpha, Mira's Alpha, stood tall beside her, the silent victor, but Mira barely noticed. In front of her, the golden light shimmered once more, and from it, the projections of two great beasts, Dimitri, the Alpha Prime, and Winter's Alpha, bowed their heads, a final blessing to their bloodline, before vanishing into golden mist, and standing alone now was Simon Winter. Still a projection, a ghost who could not truly touch this world. His chrome mask tilted slightly as he looked at Mira, as if he was seeing something he had longed for, yet never thought possible. Mira stared at him, her fists clenched. The rage, the grief, the loss of years she could never reclaim flooded out of her. "You left me?" she screamed. "You left me with monsters. You left me alone." The air around her shook as she raised her gauntlet, pulsing with the terrible power she had built across years of survival and suffering. Without hesitation, she unleashed it all, the pulse of energy tearing towards a projection of the man she called father. But the figure did not move. The energy washed through him harmlessly, as if the very laws of physics bowed to him. Only his voice came through, low and unbearably human. "Good. Let it out. I'd be angry too." Mira staggered, tears burning in her eyes. "You could have saved me," she whispered. You could have come for me." The projection stepped closer, but not close enough to touch. "I never abandoned you," Simon said, and for the first time, Mira heard the pain beneath his calmness. "When I reset reality, this world was never meant to survive. It slipped through, hidden even from the gods. It lived on, because of you, because of your fire." Mira dropped to her knees. Every ounce of anger evaporated under the crushing weight of truth. Simon knelt too, only a shimmer, a ghost of a man, and said, "You were never alone, Mira. Even when I could not reach you, your blood, your will, they were mine. You are more than my daughter. You are my hope." Mira sobbed once, broken and raw. Then she rose slowly, staring through the flickering light at the man who had shaped her without ever being there. Through her tears, she smiled. "Daddy," she whispered. Simon nodded, the smallest, proudest motion. "This world still carries scars," he said, his voice firm again. "But you, Mira Winter, will be its future. You are stronger than anything I could have ever imagined." The projection began to fade. Simon looked up, his final words carrying across the broken cathedral and into her soul. "We were never truly apart. We never will be." And with a final flicker of golden light, Simon was gone, leaving behind a daughter born from the impossible, and a world finally free to heal. Mira stood in the half-light of her hidden laboratory. Before her, the battered computer console flickered and beeped. Nothing unusual. But then, the keys began to type by themselves. One letter at a time, a message appeared across the cracked screen. "Hello, Mira. Reality does not allow me into your world, but there's nothing stopping us from working together." Mira's breath caught. She reached out with a trembling hand, typing her response. "Father?" A pause. Then the words appeared. "Yes, I have watched from beyond the veil. You have become everything I once dreamed, and more." Tears threatened the edges of her vision, but Mira straightened her back. She had come too far to collapse now. "We don't have time," Simon's next words appeared. "This world you stand in, it is wounded. To heal it, you must guide it back to balance." Mira typed quickly. "How?" The computer hummed, then streamed a flood of data. Schematics, designs, a map of possibilities, far beyond human comprehension. "Together, we will build something to stabilize reality here. A beacon, a framework that will steer this broken world towards peace. But you must complete it. I can only guide you. I can never step foot into your world." Mira's mind raced, already breaking down the designs, modifying, improving them as she went. It was what she was made to do. She typed, "And the Alpha?" There was a long pause, then words that felt heavier than the sky itself. "The Alpha is no longer just your protector. He is now the symbol of unity. He must rebuild the Pax, not through conquest, but through honor. Where once there was war, there must now be loyalty, discipline, hope. He must be the king who dissolves the throne, so no one can ever seize it again." Mira touched the Alpha's thick fur beside her. He looked up at her, understanding in his primal gaze. "This world will not heal through domination," the console continued, "but through sacrifice. Your Alpha will teach them to remember what it means to be wolves, not monsters." Mira smiled quietly. For the first time in forever she felt it. Hope. Real, burning, impossible hope. Then the words on the console shifted. "Before I go, there's someone here who has been waiting to see you." Mira frowned, confused. A small, shimmering portal opened at the side of the room. Thin, fragile, almost a dream. She stepped toward it slowly, heart hammering, and on the other side, she saw them. Simon Winter, not as a projection, but in the flesh, standing proud, smiling, and beside him, Mara, Mira's mother, alive, vibrant, and more beautiful than any memory Mira ever held. Mara reached out across the portal, tears in her eyes. Mira pressed her hand against the shimmering veil, feeling her mother's warmth through the barrier of worlds. And for the first time in her life, Mira Winter wept. Not from pain, not from rage, but from joy. Simon's voice came softly through the connection. "You are never truly alone, Mira. You carry both of us in everything you do. Now go, finish what we started. Build a world they deserve. Be the light, even when the darkness rises." The portal began to close. The final glimpse of her mother's proud, loving face, burning forever into Mira's heart. And Mira turned back to her world, ready to save it. The heavy wooden doors of the farmhouse creaked open. Mira stepped through, her Alpha by her side. now a towering figure of silent strength. Inside, Ilaria, Veyron, and Selithra rose to meet her, their ancient eyes filled with questions. Mira wasted no time. She stood before them, her voice steady, cutting through the heavy silence. This world was lost the day the reset of reality occurred. My father never abandoned me. He and everything tied to him was reset, erased from this reality, vanished, forgotten. She paused, her gaze burning into theirs. But I remained, alone, broken, until the memories returned, until the truth clawed its way back to me. I was not abandoned, I was left behind, because I was meant to be the bridge between the old world and the new. This reality was never meant to exist, but it does. And now, we have a chance to fix it. A plan, a future, a world of peace. The elders exchanged glances, the weight of her words pressing into the air. It was Veyron who spoke first, his voice like gravel, turned soft by respect. This world belongs to you now, Mira. To you and your kind. You will rebuild something far greater than we ever could. He bowed his head slightly, a rare moment of true humility. We, however, Veyron continued, are doomed to failure. We are relics, shadows of an age that should have died long ago. We are the last three of our kind, and none of us are true leaders. Not like your Alpha is to the Lycans. We lack vision. We lack the strength of future. Without a true guide, we will simply fade away, Mira. For there is no one left on this world with the power, the wisdom, the light to lead us. The elders of old are gone. Forever. The words hung heavy in the room, an unbearable silence folding over them. For a moment, it seemed the last hope of the elder race would wither into nothingness, until a voice, low, powerful, and echoing from nowhere and everywhere at once. Forever is a very long time. The farmhouse trembled lightly as a golden portal shimmered into existence at the edge of the room. From the portal, a figure stepped, a silhouette first, then a man, but not merely a man, an elder, tall and proud, carrying the endless weight of centuries upon his broad shoulders. He spoke, his voice thunder and velvet. I have been in limbo for longer than memory itself. A choice I made because the world I knew no longer needed me. In limbo I waited until a friend came to me. He told me of this world, of you, of your need for one who had seen everything and survived it. He stepped from the shadows, fully now, revealing eyes that had seen the birth and death of ages. Veyron gasped, stumbling back slightly. It cannot be. Ilaria clutched the edge of the table, her voice a whisper of disbelief. You are but a legend, a myth that vanished into time, Eldritch. The figure smiled faintly, a sadness in his eyes, but also pride. I am Eldritch, once a High Elder, and still one by blood and spirit. I chose to remain an Elder, but without the cursed debt to Nocturna. Here, in this world of second chances, I can finally be me. Free, bound to no God but the light within. The room erupted, not with noise, but with a silent rejoicing. The kind of hope so pure it doesn't need words. For the first time in centuries, the elders saw a future, a guide, a mentor, a leader. Eldritch spoke once more, his voice steady as stone. You will not fade into dust, You will not be forgotten relics. Together we will rise. Together we will honor the light and the dark. Together we will build a world worthy of those who come after us. And so, in the ruins of an old world, a new one began to breathe.